Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's about time to do another recent reads wrap-up video. June has not been like the best month for me as far as like anything like reading creative wise, so at the moment you're only really getting like wrap-ups, which I know is not like the funnest thing. I do like doing other types of videos, but June's been not the best personally. But I am working on other videos, so hopefully after this you'll get a few things that I hope are fun to watch. I'm working on a vlog. I do have to do an unhaul, as well as I wanted to do a summer fantasy recommendations video, which would be fun. But yeah, that will come later. Right now I have a few books to talk about. I think I have like 6 or 7. I do have a DNF, which is not normal for me. I don't like to DNF books, but again, this month has been whack. Let me get started on that. Because of this month, I've mostly been in like an urban paranormal fantasy type of mood, so I'll start with the DNF to get that out of the way. I tried reading Rosemary and Rue by Seanan McGuire. This is her urban fae like fantasy. I really wanted to like this, and I've wanted to read Seanan McGuire before. I haven't read anything from her. I think I've read maybe a short story from a short story collection, but other than that I haven't read like her popular Wayward children's series or the book that she published under Myra Grant, the one about the evil mermaids or whatever. I tried this one, was not for me, or maybe I was like in a bad headspace. Again, this month has not been great. As far as I got in the story, we follow a character who I believe is like half fae, half human, and in the human world she works as like a private investigator, but she really like does jobs for the fae because she's like half human and she can like do certain things that fae can't do. Her partner and her child don't know about this part of her life, so she kind of keeps it a secret. And at the beginning of the book, while she's like investigating some sort of crime or a job, a fae turns her into a fish for like 13 years, and apparently I guess at some point the curse is broken and she's human again, and her life has gone pretty much to shit since that. Understandably, because she's been a fish for like 13 years. I just thought that was too jarring for me at the moment, so I got like a few like maybe like 50-60 pages into the book, and I was like, you know what, I'm not in the mood for this at all. I'm not feeling it. I don't like the time jump of 13 years. I know it's like part of like the plot. I didn't know that, so I put it down. So I don't rate DNFs either, so I wasn't feeling it. Staying on the paranormal urban route, I did read 2 books from the same series. I read The Hollow Boy and The Creeping Shadow by Jonathan Stroud. These are the 3rd and 4th books in the Lockwood and Company series. This is like middle grade into like YA for me anyways. This is a series that I would say overall is like 5-star, even though I haven't given a specific book 5 stars, but like in general I like the concept of the series, and I'm having a lot more fun with it as the time goes on, as the books go on. So this series takes place in London, and for the past like 5 decades or so, ghosts have started to become a problem. Like they started to come up from like the graveyards, from you know whatever, and they're haunting homes, hospitals, the streets, everywhere. And within like the past 50 years, people have gotten smarter and have started to pick up some things on how to deal with them. A lot of like ghost busting companies have started springing up. The thing about these ghosts is that younger people have a better connection to them. They can see them better, they can hear them better. As you grow up, that connection to ghosts and spirits and stuff, you start to lose it. So a lot of these ghost busting companies actually employ children to do like the dirty, dangerous work, while the adults do like paperwork, heads of the company, that kind of stuff. Lockwood and Company is an independent business owned and operated by like young people. There's about 4 people who work at this agency, and they're all about like 14 to late teens. They're not very old, they're not like adults. I really like the 3rd book. I think so far that one's been my favorite, but I also enjoyed book 4. Something that I realized about urban paranormal fantasy is that not only do I need like a very strong plot to keep me drawn into the story, but I would also really enjoy, or I do really enjoy, like personal drama that our characters are also having to deal with, as well as like whatever plot of the week that we have to deal with here, and I'll talk about it later on because this also happened with other books in this wrap up. But for example, in the third book, our main character Lucy is having some like tension problems with a few of the people that she works with, and I just love the dramaticness of like, you know, friend troubles, and it's a little soapy at times, but I really enjoyed it and it kept my like interest. I'm not usually scared by much, so I don't know if this is like too scary for some people. I know some people are very like they don't really like horror stuff or horror adjacent stuff, so I don't know, I'm not the best judge about that, but I really enjoyed them. So yeah, book 3 had really good drama. Book 4 is starting to touch on some overarching story themes going on. I can't really go into detail because this is book 4 and a bunch of stuff has happened by this point, but just know that at this point in the story, our main characters are starting to kind of delve into like how this phenomenon started, the origins. Is it possible to stop ghosts from coming back forever? You know, big questions like that. That's starting to be touched on in book 4, and we get hints of that like by, you know, in earlier books, but book 4 is really when a big story plot is starting to brew, and I don't know, I'm having fun with it. So the latest book I finished is also an urban fantasy, and it is Magic Burns by Illona Andrews. This is the second book in the Kate Daniel series. I'm having so much fun with this series. I'm only on book 2, but I really enjoyed both of them. The first one I would assume would not have been strong because first books in like paranormal series tend to kind of they're kind of awkward at moments because you have to establish the world, but I really loved the first book. I like the characters that were introduced, I like the world, and book 2 just got better for me. I really like the setting and concept of this series. This book takes place in a world where magic and tech kind of battle out dominance over each other. It's been told to us that technology, like an age of technology, has been growing and has reigned supreme for quite some time, which makes sense. We currently live in a very technologically heavy world, but in this world at some point tech kind of failed and a bunch of like paranormal kind of stuff, magic, started to become more dominant, and it still is pretty dominant. Every now and then you'll get like flares of like technology working, and sometimes it doesn't, so it's a kind of like battle between tech and magic. And we follow our main character named Kate, who used to kind of be a mercenary, but now she has a somewhat government job that deals with like magical related drama. It's kind of like FBI, but like making magic, I don't know. And she gets involved with, you know, troubles. If you've read urban fantasy series, you know like drama of the week type situation. But again, I love the characters, I like the side characters. I'm excited to see what other stories we get, as well as like the relationships that Kate is going to form with other people. I'm having such a good time. Even before I finished my ebook of Magic Burns, I put in a hold for the next book in my library on my Kindle. Really loving this one. So I gave this one like 4 out of 5 stars, by the way. I did pick up a single Ruby Dixon this month. I needed something to kind of clear my head and like distract me. I picked up the Corsair's Captive. This is the first book in the Corsair's series. The Corsair series is like part of Ruby Dixon's like larger blue alien romance world with like ice planet barbarians and stuff. We follow a captain of a pirate spaceship, and while he is doing piratey stuff, making deals, he comes across a contact, someone he's supposed to be dealing with, and this person or this alien has a human slave. I think it's really funny that humans are considered what's the word? Primitive. They're a primitive species, a primitive world. They have not yet discovered how to travel into space, so they're kind of like persona non grata for like other alien systems. So if you have a human in space, chances are you abducted them, which is like super illegal. So he comes across a human, rescues her, romance. If you read a Ruby Dixon before, you kind of know what you're getting into. I knew what I was getting into, which is why I gave it like a fine 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't bad, it wasn't fantastic, out of this world, but I will say that I have a new book pet peeve, and it's because of this book. This new pet peeve I have, or something that I kind of put my finger on, it's bothered me before in other books, but like now I can totally pin it down when I see it. I really don't like it. I'm not gonna give a book a really low rating, but if I see this in a book, I'm gonna like roll my eyes. It bothers me. I think it's silly. It's a stupid argument to have. It's like a waste of my time. I would assume it's a waste of your time too, but I'm not you. I don't like this in books. So the pet peeve in question usually happens in romance or anything with like a romance subplot. I'm sure it could also happen in like queer romances, but I mostly see it in like heterosexual romances, and that is when the guy, usually the guy, goes out and has to do something dangerous, like you're a pirate in space dealing with other pirates. That's dangerous. You go off to war, you have to do something dangerous. It sucks, but you have to do it. And the main character, usually a woman, she's obviously like super worried about her hero, her love interest, who doesn't know if they're gonna make it back safely. That I totally understand. But when he eventually does come back in one piece, hopefully, she gets mad at him and says, "Why didn't you take me with you?" Girl, be so serious for 1 second. You are 5'2" and a half and you weigh 120 pounds soaking wet. You don't know how to fire a gun. You probably never like punched anyone in your life, and you want to go to a shootout. You want to go fight in a war because you don't want to leave your man's side. It bothers me so much. And they have an argument about it, and he apologizes, and like, far be it from me to take a man's side in any argument, but I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take his side because, girl, sit down. Please sit down. Do not make a fool of yourself. Don't. I know my place. I'm 5'3" and a half and I'm overweight. I'm not gonna go fight in a war with my mans. Not gonna happen. I'm so sorry. It's a stupid argument. Just like, let it go, girl. I know you're worried about him, so am I, but like, I'm not gonna get mad at him. I feel like I've seen it so many times. Take me with you. Girl, what can you do? You're gonna fall on a sword. But other than that, it was like a quick read on audiobook. It's fine. It's like a whatever book. This book inspired a vlog that's coming up soon. This is The Queen's Resistance by Rebecca Ross. This is the second book in the Queen's Rising duology. I don't know if there's like another title for it, but I really loved this duology, surprisingly. No like offense to like the author or whatever, but from the lack of discussion I've seen about this duology, it came out a few years ago maybe. I feel like the first book was like an early pick in like an owl crate, like way back when it started. I heard like very little buzz about it. I know Rebecca Ross is a fairly popular author, and I'm not saying this book never got like any praise or the series never got any praise, but I just like it hasn't like, the hype hasn't lasted in its years post release. So I really did enjoy the first one. I've talked about it a few times already, so if you look through like my channel and if you see the first book in like a thumbnail, click on it and like let me tell you what I think about it. But this is the second book. I can't talk about it too much because it's a very like constant plot line, but I will say that in the first book there was two main parts. The first part was like a school setting, and the second part was like a political uprising. I love a political uprising, but the school setting in the first book completely blew out the political plot line out of the water. I love that school setting so much that I was telling myself, I just wish it was just a school setting. It was done much better than this political drama. This second book follows what happens next in that political plot line. And I thought, reading the first book, the way it ends, while it didn't tie up every loose end with a bow, I thought it ended on a note that the reader could like infer or assume what happens next. Like, the main bad guy, I would say, was caught in the first book, and whatever happens to them is up to the people. Whatever, that's fine. So when I was super hesitant about picking this one up because I didn't need any other questions answered. But this kind of felt like a project of like, what happens after, you know, the end. I've read a lot of fantasy books where there's a political drama, uprising, what have you, and they kind of deal with the main threats, and then you kind of get like a vague-ish epilogue of like, you know, people have to work on some things, but overall, like, we're getting better. The drama that we had to deal with is starting to patch itself up after we've cut out the tumor, the cancer in our kingdom. And I feel like this was like an exploration of like an epilogue. I just feel like this would be the what happens after the epilogue type of book, which I guess you can say is like unnecessary, but I really enjoyed it. I really liked how the author approached a lot of the topics that would be hard to approach when it comes to like rebuilding your kingdom after you try to save it, because we obviously almost always get like the hero's POV, but some people are still very reluctant to change even if they are living in a very like dystopian country. So I feel like this is like an attempt for that, and I really appreciated it. Surprised me. I was ready to like really like book one, and then like kind of like this one dropped the ball. I thought this was like a great sequel, so I would give this like 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I do have Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manansala. This book was not my favorite. This is like a cozy mystery. We follow our main character who works at her auntie's like Filipino restaurant, and one day her ex-boyfriend comes into the restaurant. He's a food critic, and he pans restaurants like famously within this town, and so our main character is like, oh, my ex-boyfriend, who we ended on bad terms, is totally gonna like ruin the reputation of my restaurant. He dies like mid lunch service, and obviously our main character is like a suspect, and if you read like a cozy mystery before, you kind of like know, you know, how they get involved in solving the mystery. I had a lot of problems with how things progressed in this book. I don't know, maybe it's just me and I'm putting too much of myself into the main character and their family, but I don't understand like our main character's willingness to like trust the police so well after she has a lawyer who is a close family friend tell her, please don't talk to the cops. Keep in mind that you are Filipino American in a predominantly white town. Just keep that in mind. You know, don't be so forthcoming. Do not let them into your house. Do not open your private lockers and safes and stuff to them. Don't do that. And they do that. And it enrages me how characters have to be stupid for a plot to, you know, progress. As far as like solving the mystery and getting answers, our main character pretty much did the same thing. She just went to like other businesses, other restaurants, and was like, did you have anything to do with like this murder? Like we all, like our restaurants all got, you know, dragged through the mud by this guy. Like she pretty much did that like a couple of times, and by the end of the book a bunch of stuff like fell into place and we found out like who did it, blah blah blah. I'm not sure if I'm just like not picking up the right cozy mysteries, but this is like the second or third different cozy mystery that I've tried, and I'm not liking them that much. Everyone seems really like, I feel like a lot of characters have to do dumb things for the story to progress, you know? You can't, I don't know. And the sad part is that I did like a lot of the characters when they weren't doing dumb, silly things. I did like a lot of the characters. I could see like some relationships forming between our main character, Leela, and a few other gentlemen that she meets around the city. Most of like the fun kind of reveals and like moments kind of happen towards the end anyway. So like a majority of the book I was like, okay, whatever, this is annoying, and then we solved the mystery. So I gave that like 2 out of 5 stars. It was not my favorite. Again, I don't know if it's a genre or if I'm not picking up the right ones, but cozy mysteries have been kind of like flopping for me in like the last couple that I've read. So that's all I have to talk about at the moment. I have read other books, but they're part of a vlog that has not come out, so I don't want to spoil it quite yet. That's pretty much it so far. Like I said, June has not been like the most popping month for me, unfortunately. I hope it's been a much better month for you. I hope you've had like a good reading done. If not, no, I'm in the same boat with you. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please talk to me down below in the comments about anything that I've talked about. I like to hear anything you have to say below. I will also link my social medias down below, as well as some far more important links. Feel free to like, dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.